Hey guys, welcome back. So when you're making dance music, do you ever feel like the kick and bass are just getting in each other's way? They don't seem to gel together, work together, and they sound a bit messy and a bit muddy. Well, I have many a time, as I'm sure lots of other people have, and it can be really frustrating because the kick and the bass make up the basis of a good dance track. And that's why I'm making this video. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks about how to avoid this, how to turn a boring bass line and kick into something a little bit more dancey and interesting and groovy, and also how to process both your kick and your bass to get them sounding as one unit as opposed to two separate elements which are just clashing. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I've got here the Maxwell Live DS kick and a wavetable bass synth. You'll notice the decay on both are nice and short to limit overlap of the sounds in the composition. For example, if I extend both the low ends, it becomes much messier and the elements less defined. Okay, so with the end goal of creating a bass line to get the dance floor moving, let's start off with a rather static kick and bass pattern and introduce some techniques to help increase the groove and cohesion of the two elements. Let's have the kick play a 4 to the floor beat and program in 4 bass hits. Shifting these about will give us an idea of what works and what doesn't. In time with the kick and they clash, and on the second and fourth they feel a bit clunky. On the third is where they sit best. They act as a counterpoint to the kick, creating a jaunty interplay. Next, let's look at changing the pitch of some of these bass notes. You don't have to make sweeping changes, and I often find that simpler bass lines allow the other elements of your track to shine through whilst keeping the beat grooving along. Here, I'm only going to change the pitch of my first note. Now to add some more groove and bounciness to our rhythm, let's shift some of our bass notes off beat. I'll move the first and last notes over, which you can hear lends an off-kilter rhythm to the bass and kick's relationship. Now let's turn our attention back to the kick pattern, which up until now has been rather regimented. For this, I'll leave my hits on the downbeats, but introduce some extra hits, including this lower velocity kick, to give the beat some irregularity. Now here we have two elements together, which was once a static bass line and repeating kick has become a far more cohesive low end, where the two sonic elements play off each other. You'll notice that throughout our writing process, our kick and bass patterns never overlap, which is a key principle in writing a low end which feels like one composition. Now for some processing. I think it's worth noting here that some processing will help your elements gel more, but the best thing you can do to get your kick and bass feeling like one can be done when programming them. Something I like to add to any low element is the saturator preset Hot Tubes, which introduces some additional harmonic content into the low end, making the elements sound fuller. Now back to the kick, which I'll add an overdrive to, a really handy effect for shaping the sound and tone of your kick, as you can hear when I mess around with the settings. Finally, let's turn our attention to EQing, which we can use to remove some unwanted frequencies which clash. So first I'll remove the extreme low ends of the bass, a frequency range that my kick will be occupying. I'll then further boost these frequencies in my kick's EQ to have it really punch through. I'll also cut some unnecessary high end from my kick while I'm at it. Now that the bass has made some room for the kick, let's return the favour and boost our bass around 170 Hz and cut the same frequencies from our kick. I'm boosting these frequencies in the bass in particular, as you can see there's a lot of harmonic content there, and I would also like to boost my lower frequencies as it's a bass sound after all. Finally, let's apply a compressor to the bass and sidechain it to the kick, causing the volume to duck when the kick plays. I'll edit the amp envelope and the threshold on my compressor to really give an idea of the effect it's having. And with that, you have the tools to create your own cohesive low end for your track to keep the dance floor moving and grooving. Now for the rest of the track. So that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something from that. If you're left thinking, well, now I've got a nice low end, but what else do I add to it? Well, you should check out this video, which has a lot about additional drum elements that you can add to your tracks.